Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equity Story. I'm here with the Wolf, and we're going to look through a few announcements. Pretty quiet, actually, so far today. And we're going to obviously look at the general market because it's getting more and more wobbly, Wolfie. Um, so we'll look at that, and obviously just say this is just a general share advice and not personal advice. Wolf, I just want to have a look at the general markets, and again, if you look at the Dow, I mean, really, big deal. It's holding up quite well. Now, I think tonight it's going to be very important, last day of the week, that it holds this support. If it doesn't, then this market possibly, we're looking for that bigger correction, maybe another 10, 15%.
Yep.
Um,
We need one though, Dave, don't we? So
oh,
I wouldn't be surprised.
yeah, listen, of course we do, right? It's a healthy correction.
Yep.
Whereby, unfortunately, the tech stocks, the Nasdaq, looks like potentially it's going to go a little bit lower. And it was interesting because I told you, I woke up at 3 o'clock, and as you do, I thought I'll check the U.S. markets, and it was up. I thought, oh, that's good. Wolfie will be happy. His tech stocks will be bouncing, and then bang, I woke up again at 6:30 and read. So,
Dave, down she goes. I don't think we're going to see a 500-point reversal overnight on Friday somehow. So I think the chances are it's going lower.
So I mean, there's a danger here. I mean, not every tech stock. I mean, Wolf.
No.
I'll look at, funny enough, I was looking at Einstein's this weekend, and I wanted to see how the, with the tech stocks getting absolutely hammered, and I put out four trends on Einstein's. And I thought, I wonder how those Einstein's stocks are actually fared. And funny enough, they all did absolutely. They generally speaking, they did brilliantly. So I just want to mention this CF1. Right. I think it's a 33 million market cap, but the chart looks absolutely superb. So certainly worth getting on some traders' radar. But RVS has had a fantastic move. And that chart really went through that sort of signal, that bullish signal, absolutely beautifully. And Weebit actually had a nice move up, and it was looking a little bit better yesterday. The only one that hasn't really gone on with it is Whisper. But you know what? It's still holding above trend, which is interesting. So, with a sector that's been really absolutely hammered, those sort of four tech stocks have actually done all right for us, which is surprising. But okay,
I still think you still got to be very careful with those stories. Them done very well, but
definitely. There's the point. I mean, maybe you take profits on them, right?
Especially, I'm just looking at CF1, for example, because I know you asked me just before, right? We went online.
Yeah.
What's going on there? So I've had a look at they had their quarterly results out on the 10th of Jan. Yeah. So I had a quick look at that. It wasn't anything great, right? Yeah, okay, the revenues are rising, but still, it's still very small, coming off a very low base. And a lot of the money is going to the office costs and corporate costs. So I don't know, Dave. This small type stuff makes me nervous.
You know what? Let's mix these fundamentals with the technicals. If people have done well on them, they're making money. Take profits on these stocks. Yeah. Together, Wolf, we always come to a decision, don't we?
I think in this market you gotta, right? I think you've gotta just be extra careful and take your profits when you see them.
And certainly, Wolf, when you look at the Nasdaq, and it looks like these tech stocks possibly going to go lower, and I think there's some people. As always, as soon as the market starts selling off, as people with basically predicting even bigger and bigger falls. But I think there is a lot of cash on the side at the moment, and it's ready to come in at the right time. Maybe it's that time isn't correct now, and I think the issue there we've got, Wolf, is, and I'm going to call is Biden, right? Now I know you're a Democrat fan, Wolf. But
no, I'm a fan of whoever actually can put two sentences together.
But Wolf, Biden is a complete liability, right? What he said the other night, he basically gave the Russians a tick to come in and take a little bit of Ukraine. Now they're trying to, but I mean, Putin must be listening to this and laughing his head off. It's complete liability, and I think that has also affected the markets greatly because the market's thinking, hold on a second. Putin's being really, really weak. Europe could absolutely blow up. I mean, you must be a little bit nervous with your house in Poland, that might be that might be gone in a year if you're a bit too weak with Putin, right? So the point is this, Wolf, it's a real worry on the markets that the fact there could be a war in Europe.
Massive risk.
Right. And you can understand why maybe some of the big guys are thinking, well, I'm going to sell the bounce. I'm not going to get into this.
Absolutely. And the thing is, the intelligence coming out of the US is saying that it could happen any day, right? So you're sitting on tenterhooks. You're thinking, okay, when should I enter the market? But when you see this Ukraine-Russia potential conflict, in the next few days, weeks, you probably want to just hold off until you see what's actually going to happen through. So the market's going to be volatile. I wouldn't be surprised if the markets come off. And if there is an invasion, God knows what the reaction might be. Sanctions, not sanctions. There's going to be a full-out war out in that area. We don't know, Dave. This is the uncertainty. The market always hates uncertainty. So for the time being, if you're sitting on the sidelines, you're certainly not entering at the moment.
So, Wolf, what do I do? Right, I'm sitting there. I've got a nice sort of juicy portfolio of stocks. Yeah.
Yep.
Obviously, I'm fine with my. I've got my dividend stocks. We put all those out yesterday. You buy a bit more in the dip and just build. I mean, you've got your dividend. That's why you're not having to worry too much about the market. But what do you do if you're in other stocks? Do you start taking chips off the table? Do should you be in a 30, 40, 50% cash position at the moment?
It depends on your strategy, right? The thing is, you should be definitely being more active with your portfolio. We've talked about it already. Take more profits than you probably normally when you're normally just trying to see if you can run further. I'd be probably going, well, maybe in this market, instead of trying to make a lot further, just take your profit, be happy with it, and look for another quick trade here and there. So yeah, look, if you're looking for the dividend stocks should theoretically go through any wars or anything that's, when I say wars, any conflicts that potentially could be temporary, they should be fine, right? That should be not a problem if you've got that long-term view. But if you're a trader, if you're looking at those high risk, high valuation type stories, then that's where you'll probably need to, for sure, look at your portfolio, probably get some cash in there and take profits, or if need be, grit your teeth and take the losses.
And one of those stories that could get affected is Aristocrat, that have part of their.
Yeah, look, they own Plarium, right? So they bought Plarium 2 years back, something like that, and a few of the offices that Plarium has are in Ukraine. I think there's 4 offices in Ukraine, 1 in Russia. So is it going to be affected? Possibly. I mean, this is just another little factor to add to that risk spectrum. And you tell yourself, should I be taking profits on Aristocrat? Probably yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's the great thing about shares. You can always buy them back next week. Right.
If we're wrong, and I hope I'm wrong, that everything will be okay. Yeah, you can just buy it back. But be better on the safe side. Always remember, protect your money first, and then we can play with it later.
Now, Wolf, I want to talk about Rio because the Serbs have returned serve.
So it seems.
So.
Pun.
So they've cancelled the. Talk about it, Wolf. I mean, you picked it up, the big Rio mine in Serbia.
Yeah, so Rio had these big hopes for Jadar in Serbia. This is the big lithium project that they had on their hands. They had all the permits in place. They just wanted to get the Serbian government across the line and get a finalization to do something with it. The protests started, the last probably year or so, that the locals didn't want this mine. Environmental groups joined in accordance with all the locals. So it was a tough going for Rio and Jadar over there. And I think, you could be a conspiracy theorist and say, yeah, it's a serve back from Rio. But let me finish. Yeah. I think it's more to do is that there's going to be elections in Serbia soon, and they obviously want to have as much constituency on their side than not. So I think that's probably the key. But
but Wolf, it is the key because we do not realize here in Australia, Djokovic is absolutely huge in Serbia. He's a national hero.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like he is like for them, royal family, he's absolutely vast, and he's such an important part of their identity and their culture, and how we treated him. To actually take this mine away from Rio would actually get a lot of votes for people who did that, right? Because you've upset our national hero, and good on you, right? So it's just funny, isn't it? 4 or 5 days later.
Sounds very coincidental, but you never know. There could be some truth to that. But look, it was going to be a huge money spinner for the Serbian government. So I think it's more to do with the actual pressure from the locals and thing. However, I did read that Djokovic lent his name to that opposition groups for
precisely. So we're tying it all in here, right?
We're tying it together. Yeah. Look, it doesn't matter. It's gone.
Right. Now, but surely Rio, they spent $2 billion on Riversdale, which they couldn't handle that, and they couldn't work with and it wasn't Riversdale's fault. It's because the Rio just didn't know how to deal with the local government. And now, how much money were there burnt on this project?
Probably a few hundred millions, I'd say. Well, the good thing is they haven't actually gone and built anything as yet. So it would have been, slowly moving along. They would have spent, they still probably spent quite a bit of money, but not as if they built it and then they can't operate it, and they would have sunk a lot of costs. But it still does not a great look. They obviously stuffed up with Riversdale. Mongolia is troublesome for them. They've spent millions and billions of dollars in Mongolia for really not much return at this stage. Still problems in there and scandals and everything else. And what about Guinea and Simandu? Oh my Lord, this has been going on for another decade, right? So I don't know. They've just got a knack of really stuffing stuff up. And you remember the Yukon Gorge recently in Australia, Dave, where they just blew up the Aboriginal heritage sites and stuff like that. It's just unbelievable. How can where's the people saying enough is enough? Some of these Rio management, I don't quite understand, eh?
Yeah, it is. I mean, and I think they're just being sort of softened by their success in iron ore, obviously, but I mean, Rio need to seriously look at themselves and their decisions. And again, it just shows the danger of going into these. I mean, I lived in Spain. I saw although I love the Spanish, I saw the attitude they had towards foreigners. And they the Spanish would say they look on them like a lemon. They squeeze them till there's no more juice left, and then they throw them away. And that's sort of working in these sort of countries, Spain, Italy.
That's Europe for you, Dave.
well, Eastern Europe, Southern Europe is very, very, very difficult.
Eastern Europe is even worse. To get anything done, you really have to, I don't know, have connections. I'd say have really strong connections with the locals, with the government, and everything. And a lot of foreigners come in there thinking that they know it all, and then they go with their legs between.
In all honesty, that's the same in Poland, isn't it? You're not going to get your permissions through in the local councils.
Hey, Prairie is a big example. They've been fighting the locals and the government for the last 5, 6, 7 years, right? Trying to get this mine there as well. They got taken off. So it happens everywhere. And now this little player next to Rio who picked up Jeddah North, Volt Resources, right? Who they've said they've bought a project of the locals in Serbia in November. It sounds like they got hoodwinked by the looks of things. I think probably the Serbians knew what they were doing. Hopefully they didn't pay too much, and it's not going to be too much of a burden for Volt. But you can see, I mean, these people really know what they're doing. Their locals know what they're doing. Their foreigners don't.
Anyway, Wolf, just on some good news, Djokovic is going to be selected for the England cricket team. And the reason being, it took Australia 2 weeks to get him out.
There you go. That's good. That's good. Any bowl?
Just a little joke there.
Any bowl?
Yeah. All right. Now
he can turn his arm over pretty well.
Yeah. Well, 2 weeks to get him out. Don't you get the joke? Get him out.
Yes, we get the joke, Dave. We get the joke.
Okay. I just thought because you pretend you know about cricket. I just wanted.
No, I get the joke. It's good.
Do you know the rules of cricket? You know the rules?
Of course. I'm a cricket lover. I love cricket.
All right, now let's talk about CGS, because I suppose this is a market, but it's down 14%.
I didn't think it was that bad. I think it was pretty good. Obviously, the market's saying no. So where to from here? I don't know. I mean, we're going to have to see what the maybe some of the big reporters will say, the big brokers. Interesting, isn't it? They're coming out with fairly decent report, yet they're getting punished. So I presumably would be something to do with maybe the outlook. Maybe there's just a lack of understanding what the actual numbers mean, because they actually explain in there, right? There has been a drop in the cash receipts, but because last quarterly there was an extra big contribution from the one-off that they signed a contract with this Japanese group. So I don't know, maybe their market just doesn't quite understand what's going on with CGS. But anyway, you've got to play everything on pie charts these days.
Yeah, we'll have a look at the moment. I think I'd be holding it. I mean, it's like you said, just let the market. You often see these panic moves up and down, and we're going to get a lot of this. I think, especially at the moment, the way the market is. But I'd be waiting to see how it looks towards the end of trade today before I made any decisions on it, Mr. Wolf.
All right.
Whitehaven coal is down 6%. Just a few production issues, Wolf. I mean, they're getting a very good price for the coal.
No, doesn't it, Dave? Production downgrade on the back of those issues. While the coal price is going up, you just never know, right? The company could have its own problems, which means frustration for these investors going, "Come on, get it right when you've got these super duper prices." Anyway, what can you do?
Wolf, NXL. Why you don't pick bottoms?
Correct. More poor reporting from NXL. Looks like further downgrades by the looks of things, Dave. Much further losses than everyone expected. Doesn't look pretty yet.
Now, Wolf,
doesn't look pretty, and it's not going to look very good anytime soon, I don't think.
So, Wolf, we got a market. It's getting sort of obliterated really in a lot of areas. Yep. The one standout, and again it has been this week, is the commodity prices are still holding up at the moment, looking pretty strong.
Yep.
And you threw these charts across at me for Kidco, which was interesting. And again, it just gives you encouragement to certainly with things like S32 and AWC. But if you actually look at this is the 30-day warehouse stock levels, Wolf. Right, and you can see aluminium obviously on a pretty strong path on the way down. The only one we've got on this page that's gone up recently is actually copper, right? But if you look at lead on the way down, you look at nickel, absolutely, and obviously you're looking at zinc getting out. Obviously, the stock levels going lower and lower and lower. So it just shows you the demand at the moment, and possibly the trouble with, this is the issue maybe, because of COVID, getting production to market, getting it on boats, getting ships, getting these warehouse stock levels higher. Arguably, it's not easy at the moment. And this is only possibly going to hold these commodity prices up. And again, if you look, Wolf, if you bring trading economics and you look at some of the prices, again, you see aluminium up 2% overnight, zinc up 4%, lead up, tin up, nickel up 4.64%, 20%. So I think, for the trenders out there or the short-term traders, this is still the one and only place. So I think you'd really want to be looking at, isn't it?
Yeah, and you can see the strong correlation between LME warehouse levels and the price rises. So there's definitely some strong indicators of where prices are going to head. If you follow the warehouse fluctuations, right, you're probably going to have a fairly similar type movements in the prices of those commodities. So look, it's interesting, isn't it, in that way? And things are heading down by the looks of these prices. So you'd say, with some relative comfort, saying that probably, like you said, if you're going to be playing the Rios and the BHPs and some of the others in this space, you're still okay to do so.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, things like we got nickel on this a little bit of a trend, but I'd be holding it when you look at those nickel prices, right? I mean, I'd still use that stop loss at 148, 149. But so far, I think, you know, if you're going to trend anything, it's still going to be these sort of commodity plays next week, possibly.
Yep, agree.
Wolf, on that note, seeing we've had a little bit of a moan about everybody. Biden, we've moaned about Rio. We've upset all the big people, right? Which is
Yes.
really...
No, you have. I don't moan. I'm always a neutral, Dave. So I'm going to blame everything on you if anything comes back right up from the ass.
Well, if the FBI start knocking on my door.
Yeah, exactly. And don't forget, though, we do have Ask the Analyst at midday. So for everyone that likes to have a bit of a listen to us rambling along talking stocks, join us.
Yeah, I think very important, and you know, again, in this environment, the way it's looking at the moment, if you've got profits, you know, take them, have a breather, see what happens overnight in America, and let's go again on Monday.
Exactly.
All right, thanks, Wolfie.
Cheers.
See everyone in an hour. Bye bye.